Right here, right now, live show. This show has one simple question. What's on your heart and mind right here, right now, in this moment? We explore the depths and breadths of our humanity through that one simple question over the course of 30 to 45 minutes. I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy the exploration. And this tune was created for me personally by the incredible Peter Griffiths, one half of the amazing Mind Takeaway. Do let us know what you think. Let us know what you take away. And of course, we always welcome challenges too. Hope to see you on the exploration. And here we are. Welcome to the latest episode of Right Here, Right Now Live, and welcome to the show, Andrea Sanchez. I'm so excited to see you again. How are you?
I'm well. I'm so excited to be here, Gary. It's such an honor.
Oh, thank you. It's funny, before we just came on, it's just like, it's been way too long since we caught up one-to-one, and it's funny how we use these live opportunities to do that. So thanks for coming along.
Yes. It's a blessing to be able to do this. Absolutely.
Oh, well, look, as we get going, I want to make sure that people can find out a bit more about you. I'd love to hear more about your Worthy rally, which I know you've been doing some amazing work around those. But before we get into some of these other things that I very selfishly want to learn more about, tell us today, Andrea, what's on your heart and mind right here, right now, in this moment?
That is such a beautiful question. If I'm being completely honest, of course, every day you have something different that your heart wants to share. But today I've been battling some struggles the past couple of months. And right here, right now, what I am feeling is, rather than trying to look for the light in darkness, maybe you need to stop looking and look within yourself, because maybe you are the light in darkness. And that's the message I'm getting right now in my heart. And that no matter what life throws at you, you can always keep shining. It's just you're the one that's in control, whether you want to stop shining or not.
Wow. What a response to that question, Andrea. That's, do you know something? It's really beautiful. And thank you for sharing so vulnerably as well, because I think we can't we? I know you can really innocently look to try and find that thing outside of you to make yourself feel better or to fill that gap. And sometimes actually, as you say, it's often sitting within you. That's powerful.
Right.
That's powerful. It says, would you mind sharing a little bit about where's that sort of realization or reflection come from for you? I guess it's something that comes and goes over time, but where's that sort of inquiry coming from for you at the moment?
Well, actually, it took me back to I'm here in Houston, Texas, in America, and back in February of this year, we had this crazy, unheard of freeze in Houston, which it got very, very cold. I don't know if you saw in the news as far as where you live, but
Yeah,
it was crazy. It never gets cold in Houston. It never freezes. So it got to the point where it got so cold that power went off in various parts of the city for a couple of days, actually. And it was unforeseen cold temperatures. And my neighborhood was out of power for a little over 48 hours. And I have never, it really took me back to a place where, even though literally you are in complete darkness, because you don't have electricity, but life as you know it, as you feel, if things you take for granted, you no longer have.
mm-hmm.
The light that does still exist is within you. So in the complete darkness, even though we could have been all depressed and anxious and scared, and we do have moments of that. I have 3 children. One is smaller. And we found light in that situation, in that we started playing games that we would never have created if it wasn't in the dark. We had some candles, and we got to know each other a little more than we would have if electronics were on, and all of that stuff. I've started hearing more laughing. It was a beautiful moment, and I found that that's the light that had existed in us that had been diminished because of so many distractions. And it took darkness. It took darkness to find that light again. And I'm often reminded of that moment. I actually wrote a poem, which I never write poetry ever. I'm a writer, but I don't write poetry. I wrote a poem. I remember I was freezing, trembling in the dark by my fireplace when the electricity was off, and it was all about finding light in darkness. And these past couple months, it just came back to me that maybe I meant to reread that again, because right now, instead of literally the darkness, and do have electricity, the darkness is more inside, and I have to find a way to find that light again inside. And remember, I do have it.
Oh, there's just so much coming up for me, Andrew, as you share that. Honestly, I'm just like, the lessons that nature throws at us is the first thing, that. And yes, I was aware of the cold thaw because actually, as you know, I work in my day job is actually in chemicals.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so as soon as you have any major event like that, like we feel it in Europe straight away, because suddenly the plants aren't running in Houston, which means supply chains are disrupted, which means materials aren't going to be shipped. So yeah, we heard about it very, very, very quickly. But what we don't hear about when we're selling chemicals and doing global business are beautiful stories like you're sharing, because these are real human heart-led stories of exploration and connection and humanity. Whereas, with all due respect, the day job is how do we try and make more money and move this product around the world to make more money? And that's fine in part. But I'm more excited about the story you just shared, which is even in a time of what could be seen as extreme adversity, you improvised and found joy in laughing and creating a new game. And like you say, it wasn't without its fears and its anxieties, but you used it as an opportunity to connect rather than disconnect, is what I'm hearing, Andrea, which is amazing.
Yes. It was hard, but yes, that's the only thing you could do. I mean, what was the opposite thing you could do is let the fear win, and then show the fear so your child gets fearful. And no, you have to show the example to your child. And while showing the example to your child, it was a lesson in itself to remind me that there is brightness in every dark situation.
It's so cool. Now, this is why I love doing these live chats, right, Andrea, is because we've just gone down this beautiful rabbit hole for the first 8 minutes. I know you, and I realize at this juncture, and I have to always catch myself, do you want to tell anyone that might be watching live or might watch this back a little bit more about Andrea? So where does this, like, because because I realize people come in and watch this go, oh my God, these people are so open. So tell the viewers a little bit more about Andrea. So what are you working on right now? What are you passionate about? And then that's going to weave, I'm sure, into a little bit of the conversation we're already having.
Yeah, sure. So my background is completely in communications, over 25 years in that. I've always loved writing. I've always loved sharing people's stories. And I'm really passionate about the human side of communications. It wasn't until a few years ago that I left my nonprofit job, which I've done for many, many years, that I started my own company called Spark Story. And Spark Story is about really believing that everything and everyone has a spark within them. They just may need a little help to to find it. And that is the spark that sets you apart. That is the spark that you were born with. That is a gift that you were meant to share with humanity, whether it's a company or it's an individual. After having started that, I realized that, yes, I could be helping companies, but I'm more gravitated towards helping individuals. And then it graduated to forming communities. And so my deep love is in my spare time, because I do have a full-time job, which I do love in communications. But in my spare time, I have passion projects, which I have created communities, which I love. One of my members has called it brave spaces. I started calling them safe spaces, but brave spaces for people to be themselves. One is 6 years old. I have on Twitter. It's called Dare to Be, hashtag Dare to Be. And it's a Twitter chat that I hold every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern America time. And we talk about everyday topics, but with an unconventional twist, a twist of vulnerability, like dare to lead, dare to be honest, dare to be real, dare to be yourself, dare to be courageous, etc. And then I recently started about a year ago, which I thought would be a one-time thing. It's the Worthy Online Rally for Hope and Kindness. It occurs every last Saturday of the month, and we just had one. And actually, that came to me in a vision, in a dream, about a year ago. June 2020 was, pure racial unrest here in America and a lot of parts of the world, actually, and COVID, and everyone was so down, and there's so much pessimism and anger and frustration, just all around society and the news, and I just felt so helpless, and I felt I needed to do something, but I didn't know what. And I started seeing all these rallies of people just bickering and being not very nice to each other. And I woke up one day with a date in my head, which was June 27th. And June 27th, I looked at the calendar, happened to be on a Saturday. And something told me I needed to hold some sort of event that day, something online. So I decided to reach out to 5 of my friends, some colleagues, which I knew in their heart they wanted to do something about promoting positivity in the world. They all said yes without me knowing what I was going to put on. So what I ended up happening is this Saturday, June 27th of 2020, I put on a 2-hour online event with 5 speakers, each speaking for about 10 minutes, sharing messages of hope, kindness, and being how we are all equal. We're all humans. We're all heartbeats. What I didn't imagine is that it evolved into them sharing stories of their personal journeys, of where they have come from, how the challenges have shaped them. And instead of seeing these challenges as weaknesses, it has become the spark that has lit them to empower others to be themselves. So what created was this massive emotional shift within the virtual room, where other people didn't feel as alone if they went through the same situations and circumstances when they grew up or throughout their life. And it empowered others to start telling their stories. After that was over, I had people come to me and say, I want to share my story next time. And I'm thinking, I guess there will be a next time. So ever since then, I've held them the last Saturday of every month. And I say hope and kindness because really it is a space of sharing kindness with each other. It's when people go back to a place of feeling like they didn't belong, or feeling like they were disappointed or not worthy. And people get sometimes emotional at telling their stories, sometimes for the very first time in a room full of strangers. It's such a release that's so freeing. So we show kindness by showing hearts, by showing, especially if we see people struggling to tell their stories. And they have mentioned to me that it has been one of the greatest moments of their lives, being able to say that in front of others and make others feel empowered. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment, and I'm honored to be able to witness that. And I know, Gary, you were gracious enough to tell your story one Saturday, so I thank you for that.
Well, not at all. I thank you for inviting me onto it, and I can totally concur. And I invite anybody again watching this live or watching this conversation back, do check out these worthy rallies for kindness and hope. They are beautiful, beautiful explorations. And Andrea, there's something that's really beautiful, and I want to appreciate you for trusting that instinct. Something came to you, whether it came to you in a dream, whether it's something in your body, like you took action on that expression. And quite often we can dampen that expression. I certainly have in the past, where your gut or your body or something says to you, this is important. And you go, yeah, but I'm not good enough for that, or it's too big. Or what's your invitation to someone that might be sitting here watching us now going, it's great for Andrea, I love that she did it, but like, I'm not good enough to do that thing that I had the big vision about?
So that is such a good thought, because I've had many other visions that have come to me, and I do feel that exact way. And this was one of the first times it was just so powerful, and it wouldn't leave me alone. So if my
Love it.
advice is that if something really does not leave you alone, it keeps coming to you, you need to really, really trust your intuition, because maybe it's not exactly what your intuition is telling you to do right at that moment. Like I had the vision of June 27th, and it's a one-time rally, and people are going to express that, have solidarity, that we are all humans and we all should treat each other fairly. But it evolved into something else, which was not my original vision. But maybe it's something out there telling you that you are the spark, you are the catalyst, that you need to follow your intuition to just light that little spark. And it may go in a whole separate direction, and it may not include you, and that's okay. Or it may include you, and it may be morphed into this other great idea. But it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. You get these ideas because it's all part of the plan to work together, and to spread goodness in the world.
Right, now this is that moment, anybody that watches this show, when I get my little buzzes. It used to happen when I had a podcast, and now it's doing it live. Andrea, what you just shared, just honest to God, I'm literally almost like clogging up, because it's just so powerful. Now I'm going to share. Oh, thank you very much for joining us. Melly's joining us from India. Said the world needs more people like the two of you. How generous. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Melly. So what came up for me as you just shared that beautiful words, Andrea, is listening to your intuition, giving it and if it keeps coming back, at least acknowledge it. It might not be for now, it might be for the future, but listen to it. Take the time to embody it, feel it, embrace it, just have a play about with it. But even more importantly, which I love what you just shared, it can take you in a completely different direction, in an emergent space that you've got no idea where it may take you. And just think what that could be like exponentially if there was more human beings practicing, trusting their intuition more, going off in multiple directions across billions of people. Like there's a regenerative energy in that.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't cost anything. It's just trusting ourselves and trusting each other in a way like you're doing with Worthy. You're creating the container or the space that allows that energy to fly around in all these different directions, which is amazing.
Right. Thank you.
God, it's blow my mind, honestly, because that's like I really want people watching this. It's so important. The feeling you might have right now might be the catalyst to what you don't even realize is about to come next.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, in what you just said, kind of put another thought in my head, is that the answers are within us. We may not know where we're headed or what we're here to do, but the answers are within us if we just listen. If we just listen, and we may not understand what we're listening to, but trust it, whether it's an action, a thought, an emotion. It may be something that you need right now to do or to feel, and it could lead you to something else. It will lead you to something else, or it will lead someone else to something else. Maybe it's someone listening to this later on in a replay. You just never know. But I firmly believe that.
I love that. Thanks for joining us, Rich. Rich Gasson's joined us, said very inspiring discussion.
Rich.
Thanks for sharing. And Melly's popped back as well, saying about giving forward. And I love that. It's such a good point. And that comment, actually, I'm going to leave that up a second, Andrea, because I think there's something we can think about giving as like, I give to you, Andrea, right? But it's not necessarily about that. Like for me, I'm finding more and more it's embodying that giving. So actually, like you're doing, how do you create the space that allows somebody else to take themselves forward? Because we've actually got way more power within us than we realize. I think we give away. I certainly used to give away my power far too easily. Yeah. I'm not good enough, or that's not within my job role, or they don't like me. You know, whatever that story is, that story is normally the thing that takes me away from my intuition. Whereas if I actually allow myself to feel in my body first, I tend to make better decisions. Does that resonate, or would you sort of challenge or build on that?
Oh, very much. And I'm glad you said that, because when you trust your intuition, don't feel like, oh, it's all going to come naturally now and I want to keep trusting it. No, we're all human. And it's okay to feel like you're still scared and you're not worthy. And I have those moments still. I wake up. In fact, today was one of those days. It's not probably my best day, but now it got better speaking to you and being able to express this. And you need to also be patient with yourself and acknowledge you are human. It's okay. And tomorrow is another day. In fact, you don't have to wait till tomorrow. In an hour, in the next minute, you have a chance to change your mindset. That feeling does not have to rule your whole day. So yeah, it's and you keep listening to your intuition and keep trying again, because again, intuition that is meant to be is persistent, and you will have to listen. You will have no other choice.
Wow, I'm going to be listening to this back. Intuition that is persistent. I love that. Intuition that is persistent. You will have no choice. It's just brilliant. But if I look at it the other way, right? As you know, I was part of my story with the Worthy panel that you put on, the rally you put on, was sharing my experience of being bullied as a kid, right? And what happened with me is that I layered up those stories. I'm not good enough. Then I got bullied again in the workplace. That then started me on this journey towards a mini burnout. And why I'm sharing all of this is that I didn't need to, when I was younger, hold on to that feeling of not good enoughness. It's only because I didn't have the emotional maturity to go, okay, it's just a thought and a feeling in that moment. As you said, in a minute, that can be gone. Like it can be gone. Like, and I don't want to downplay anybody's challenges with mental health or anything like that that's out there. But there is so much in what you're sharing, Andrea, around if we can feel more and realize that the thoughts that we have do not dictate our next steps. There's some real freedom in that, when we realize that actually we don't need to believe the story. We may choose to, but we don't have to believe it.
Right. Well said.
Cool. Oh my goodness. You're blowing my mind. What's Rich has shared, be patient with yourself. Excellent advice, Andrea. There are so many sound bites coming out of this conversation. It's crazy.
Oh, thanks, Rich.
Bless you, Rich. This is what Andrea does. This is why we have this platform, Rich, for great people like you to come and share, and just for us to have this space. Because as you said, hopefully what we're creating real time is exactly what you do with your Worthy rallies every week, every month. It's just that space to express. And you said that a couple of minutes ago, Andrea. What do you think happens if we don't express what's going on in our body?
So I'm a prime example of that.
Okay. I always love your vulnerability.
I need to walk the talk. You become someone that you're not. Simple as that. You disallow the world to see your gift. Again, I believe we were each born for a reason. We each have a spark. We each play a part in the energy that we're putting out into the world. We can listen to that energy by following our intuition is one thing, but also by changing our mindset, being self-aware of our mindset. But I'm still working on this. I have moments, but in the past, especially growing up, I let others define my worth. I let others define what I should do, what I should look like, what I should think, because that's the only way I felt accepted. If everyone liked me, and I was meeting the expectations of this person that they wanted me to be. And yeah, I had a lot of people like me, but I didn't like me. I did not like me. I was depressed. I was miserable. Anxious. I was very successful, but I was not happy. And And so it took a lot of shedding of that skin, and it was very, very frightening, fearful, one of the hardest moments of my life. I'm still shedding a lot, although I feel much more free, in that I've started to get to know myself over again in the past few years. And that's my message towards others. I feel like we all have quite a bit that we could probably shed, but I want to provide that safe cocoon where you can have your metamorphosis and feel strong and shed, so you can eventually fly out and become the butterfly you're supposed to be.
So beautiful. And and again, the metaphors just keep flying today for me. How can any one of us fully evolve into that beautiful butterfly if we're carrying around the weight of not good enoughness, or you will be okay when you have the car, the house, the job title? If we're walking around with that sort of weight of oppression, almost, it's self-imposed oppression I had when I was growing up, Andrea. It was like, you'll be good enough when you have the car, when you have the job title,
Right.
when you've made enough money. So much outside of me. And we're wrapping up brilliantly back to where you started our exploration today. I didn't realize I had a light, and I definitely didn't believe it was worth anything. And like
Right.
that took me burning out, and it took me having coaching, and it took me finding community. And we found each other through the HumansFirst community, one of many amazing communities out there. And isn't it funny how it took me being in space with people like you to see my own light. So I didn't see my own light until I saw it in you.
Wow.
And when we see these, we have to see it, and I needed to be able to listen and observe that light in you. Like, you're one heck of an inspirational person, Andrea. Do not underestimate that. And the reason for that for me is because you do it with such dignity and such humanity. Your communication in the last, my God, 26 minutes, like you've joined me today through service, through paying it forward, giving forward, as Melly shared. So tell us, as we start to wrap up, what are you looking to sort of impact, reimagine? What are you looking to make a difference with as you go forward into your next minute, hour, rest of this week? I'd love to know what's emerging for you right now as we start to wrap up this conversation, Andrea.
I ask that myself every single day. All I can share is that I continue to trust my intuition, that it will lead me where I'm supposed to be, what my next big step is. I feel like I'm in a good place where I started, especially with these worthy rallies. But I feel in my heart that there is something more. I do not know what that something is, but I'm continuing to trust my intuition, and I need to continue to nurture this brave space for people. I'm listening because I feel like some people need this brave space so they can find their spark and continue on, or even start their own journey. So maybe it's not about me right now, but maybe it's about providing the space where people can find themselves. And then eventually that could lead me more to my own direction. But that's where I'm at right now.
So cool. Well, thank you again, Melly, for joining us today. Yeah, exactly. How much is enough? How much is enough? Brilliant question. And it's certainly something I've had to. I love your point about shedding, Andrea. I think this is such an important point. As I walk around with this sort of human being with this apparent skin and body, like, I feel like I've got rid of maybe 60, 70 layers in the last 5 years. There's probably about another million to go.
Yeah.
That we're never the finished article. And I think it's partly frustrating, but partly really freeing, because we've got zero control over anything apart from how we interact and how we show up. Back to your point about the spark that we have. Do we show up and try and be that light, or do we show up to try and diminish other people's light? And I sort of see the world a little bit binary at the moment like that, although the world isn't binary like that. My invitation to anyone watching us is, where do you sit on that spectrum? Do you look to try and, do you bring out the goodness in others through your light, or are you looking to try and suppress their light? No judgment. It's just an open question.
Yeah.
Because that might help people realize where they are in their thinking in the moment.
I like that. Absolutely.
So when's the next rally? You had one last weekend. Have you got
I had one
the date?
yeah, I had one this past Saturday. So the next one is August. So the last Saturday of every month, August 28th.
Amazing. So anyone that's watching, though, Melly, Rich, anybody else that watches this back or has watched us live today, please do check out. If you want, this has been a vulnerable conversation, as you can tell. This is what Andrea role models. I spoke about it. 138 episodes around topics like listening, courage, vulnerability. If you want to find that on your favorite podcast platform. And finally, please do reach out to Andrea. Her website is sparkstory.co. You can find her on LinkedIn. And the other thing I absolutely love and respect about you, honestly, Andrea, is that, like me, you work in a corporate role.
Yes.
Like, how do they react? Sorry, as we wrap up, like, how does your sort of team react to you being so bold and courageous, shining your light out into the world from within your own organization? I'm curious what sort of feedback you may get in any direction.
Yeah. So I'm very humble about what I do as my passion projects, but people that do see my posts and that have found my worthy rallies and things like that, very, very positive. They very much in support, and I thankfully work for a company that's all about people first as well. So yeah, it works very nicely.
Perfect. Well, look, thank you again. Look, this is what happens when we haven't caught up that much. 31 minutes that was. It's amazing. You're just
Yeah.
this is the flow. You are so cool. Thank you, Andrea, for joining me. I just
Thank
want to
you,
acknowledge
Gary.
again. Thank you so much, Melly, for joining us, and also Rich, both amazing humans in their own right. Wow, my God, my cup is full, my friend. My cup is
Likewise.
full.
Thanks,
Thank,
Gary. I love what you do here. Keep it up.
thank you. I will do, and I'm just going to finish up with, if anyone's curious, please go check out Andrea's LinkedIn profile if you want to connect with her or find out more about her work. I'm also looking through these conversations to try and support more people one-to-one, particularly leaders and teams that may want to step into this more human way of leading themselves and others. So I know Andrea's offering that support. I'm offering that support as well. And here's a little bit more information about the offers that I'm making. And Andrea, I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Likewise. Keep in touch.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Gary Turner. I'm really curious. When I mention the word feelings, what comes up for you? Is it something that you're comfortable with? Is it something that's really uncomfortable within your body as you even think about the word feeling? Well, I'm here today to offer an invitation to explore that inner landscape of yours in a more meaningful way. Because I know firsthand through over the last 5 years that by understanding ourselves more from the inside out, we tend to experience a far more rich kaleidoscope of experience on the outside world. And that's something I'd love to invite you to join me in, is that exploration. So my name's Gary Turner. You can find my Calendly link across the bottom of the screen. And I'd really, really love to have an exploratory chat with you. If you're really looking to level up your experience of life, let's have a conversation and see if I could help be a guide as you go through that journey. Looking forward to hearing from you.